Mm. Dorothy, you have to unmute. Yes. No, it's there. Okay. All set.
Okay, seems that everything is running, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. And thank you for bearing with me last time with the mess up with the Facebook only for friends. But at least this time we got it working. Hey, work in progress. And thank you for being here with me, Michaela, and with this topic.
Thank you very much.
If I could just, can I say a couple of words
Yes.
before we start with the questions? Because it is such a big topic. Relationships and connection to other people is something that is for most or for many people very, very important, because it's a very important part of our biology. We were made as humans to connect to other humans, to form little tribes and to be connected to other important people. Now, especially at the moment, we can see that in a lot of places in the world, the connection between people is interrupted. And instead of connection and relationships, friendships and support, we see a lot of polarization and we see a lot of othering, me and the others. And this is unfortunately also biology, because when something is not felt to be like me or similar to me, internally my nervous system has a choice to go fight, flight, or to go in curiosity with our social engagement system in the brain and stay curious and open and see, okay, who are you? What are you interested in? What do you bring? Are you safe? Do you welcome me? Can we connect? And these questions, unfortunately, a lot of them run on the background of our system. So unless we consciously choose to be more aware than just the simple biology, it can happen that our nervous system plays a trick on us. And this is why I would love to start with this talk by just explaining shortly, if I may,
Yes.
how this whole relationship thing works in our brain. So our nervous system is running all the functions of our body on autopilot. There are a couple of things that we can interfere with. We can make decisions, we can breathe consciously and so on. But a lot of things, our preferences and how we feel emotionally about things, is decided without our doing. So neither are we really a choice how we're feeling, nor are we really to blame about how we're feeling. And the same is true for our relationships. When we enter into a contact zone with other humans, automatically, without us knowing, a system switches on that is part of our attachment system. And our brain, our nervous system decides for us, are we willing to welcome this person, or are we warning them? Do we want to have them closer or not? Now, in case we decide we want them closer because they are interesting or they are family or we want to be partner with them, we switch into a very primal, emotional, instinctive system, our attachment system, and we try to bond with that person. And this person could be a colleague. It's not necessarily our romantic partner, but it could be somebody sitting in the plane next to us. And What happens now is old programming from our attachment system gets fed into my current experience. So my experience of myself and the other person is colored, but by what is happening in that little part in my brain, in my attachment system. And we have a couple of styles in the attachment system that have, how can I say, they have been born very, very early in our life. So when we were still very little, very young. And these attachment styles, we can call them, they color how we enter adult relationships. So for example, if we had a secure attachment to our primary caregivers when we were little, and they had a functioning relationship, partnership, our attachment system is potentially set to a secure relating, which means I can be with the person, I can be interdependent, I can also be independent, I can be myself, I can take time out to do what is important for me, but I'm also happy and allowing that my partner gets more into distance from me because they are following their own whatever interests they are. If I'm securely attached, I can balance my emotionality, I can discuss my likes, my wants, and I can cooperate. So an important function of a well-switched or well-balanced attachment system is actually that I'm able to speak my truth, share my feelings, and make space for another person with their wants and feelings. This is the, how can I say, the ideal scenario. And unfortunately, 50% of the people fall into this category, but then we have 50% who don't. And amongst the 50% people who do not fall into the category secure attachment system, we have a few variations. So one variation, for example, is when my early attachments were not feeling safe, were not consistent. So either my parents were absent or overworked or had no time, were busy with something else, sick, or had another sibling to take care of. Whatever reason, they didn't provide continuous, reliable care and connection, then it could be that my system is switched to when I get connection, I must get it now and I must keep it. And we call this anxious or ambivalent. So I'm feeling that my feeling, okay, I'm not having this clear and conscious, but I'm feeling like I have to make sure that this person stays connected to me. So when they don't return my call within a day, or when they don't answer my text message within X amount of time, my attachment system is shooting worry signals. So I'm starting to, what happened to them? Are they safe? Did they have an accident? Do they not love me anymore? Is my relationship still stable? And then if they don't respond like in a very long period, like whatever the whole working day, then I might start to worry. Do I have to drive over? Do I have to make sure that he got my text? Does he want to leave me? And this might sound really funny, but adult functioning, intelligent and successful people can have an attachment system that does not allow them to feel safe and calm and relaxed when they do not know whether they are securely attached to their partner. So the irritability, the stress response in the body starts very early when the relationship is not felt as being secure in the moment, okay? Now, maybe you've got a friend, maybe you know somebody who has a bit of a sensitivity with these reaction times, and they don't allow other people necessarily easily to do their own thing. They always check back. So is that okay? Are you still my friend? Do you still love me? This is, it sounds funny, but it is 25% of all people, it's a lot of people. And we have another variation that is also quite interesting. It's almost the opposite. So people who, from their primal caregivers, did receive care, or maybe they did not receive care, but coming with the care and the connection was the feeling of overwhelm and intrusion. It might be that the parent was controlling a lot, or the parent was really managing everything like helicoptering or snow plowing. And the feeling can be that this person was never allowed to have their own space. Or they were with a caregiver that inflicted pain at the same time. So a stressful relationship, never calm enough, not enough space for what I want. Emotionally not validated, or somehow in a punitive relationship, it can happen that my attachment system decides people are not safe. I cannot let people close to me. I have to keep my distance. Now, this is not conscious, please, blaming totally out of the picture, but this is just something where your nervous system goes on autopilot and decides for you how you need to feel about the relationship. And what happens now is, which happens very often, we get one person anxious and one person distant together. The anxious person is continuously asking for confirmation, contact, closeness, and the other person, not so sure. It's too much, actually. It's overwhelming. And the reaction of the distantly attached person is, whoa, too much overwhelm again. And the attachment system sends a different alarm, not the alarm that says you have to connect and run after them and make sure that they still love you, but the opposite. Keep your distance, go away, too much emotions, shut down, get yourself out of the danger zone. It's more like a flight reaction. Now, if the other partner keeps running after them, because this is the thing, the anxiously attached person is very emotional, okay? It's we say it's the opposite brain half. So the anxious person uses the right brain with a lot of words and a lot of emotions and a lot of pressure and action and gada, gada, gada. And the other person is using their left brain, kind of like logic, no emotions, keep your distance, let's just talk about this and sort it out and just calm down, and why are you always so emotional? So usually they clash nicely. But they also love to find each other, because guess why? The anxiously attached person had a history of people who are not available to them. So the attachment system has learned relationships and love and closeness comes with my partner not being available, and I have to make sure that they stay connected. I have to keep the relationship running. I have to change my partner so that we can both be happy. The other person, however, has chosen this partner because it's a nice reminder of people, when they love me, they care about me, and they get on my nerves. So if two distant people would get into contact, they're kind of like, who cares, you know? Nobody's looking after the relationship, because both of them are quite happy alone. And then they might have a functioning relationship with a lot of distance in the middle. But it could also be that they feel a little lonely, because people with a distant attachment, it's not that they do not like connection or sexuality or relationships or friendships, just with a bit of a distance. Okay, not too close, not too much, not too emotional. Now we have a third category. This is disorganized, but this is mostly people who have been experiencing trauma. So when the nervous system has been in constant overwhelm, or when the same person who was theoretically the one to provide love and care and support is the same one who was abusing them or neglecting them or causing a lot of pain, then the attachment system can get so disorganized that it doesn't know, do I allow the person or do I run away from them? And they might do both at the same time. So they're running after, I need the relationship with this person, otherwise I'm going to die. And then when they come closer, oh my God, now I'm going to die really, because they don't love me, or they will leave me immediately, or I'm expecting that pain will come. So it's tricky. And I just wanted to get this out of the picture so that we know a lot of the dance that can be experienced in relationships is due to some functions of the nervous system, either in the attachment system or in our emotionality. And of course, also in the connection that we have with ourselves, or not. Okay, now I shut up.
No, it's perfect. It makes so much sense. And at one point, what I see is that it's so good to know these things because then I don't feel so guilty because, like, okay, I find myself in this and this. But at the same time, it's so important to take responsibility and communicate with the other person and know each other how we have it. So, what I would like to ask now from what you've shared is, so then what? What to do. So for example, imagine that there are two people having a relationship, let's say a partnership, and one is distant and one is anxious, and they are still running the stories in their mind. So what would be the solution, or how would you what would you suggest if people would come to you like they have problems in relationships, or they don't know, they cannot hear each other, see each other, some person is waiting for validation, but the other one is like, why would I do that, all this.
Yeah, the dance.
Yeah.
Ping pong game. Well, what I usually do when I do couple therapy, I start with psychoeducation. So we really get to know the nature of this beast, so that we know how does my partner operate and how do I operate, and that we get an understanding, like a compassionate, how can I say, compassionate awareness of what the triggers are. Because it's trigger ping pong, what you were describing. Okay, one person, the system gets triggered, and the other person gets triggered, and then they play ping pong. Now, to break that cycle, it needs a lot of compassion and patience with ourselves. Unfortunately, there's a lot of relationship advice out there that makes it about understanding this and that, and then doing this and that, and changing everybody around. And I believe that we're coming closer to the truth when we're not trying to change the behavior or change the person, but when we start to be more authentic in ourselves. Because what we see in these dynamics is that both partners actually claim the right that the other one should change their behavior and their feeling and everything so that they can feel good. It's not necessarily communicated. So communication is very important, but it could really be that I am expecting my romantic partner to fulfill my needs without me even speaking them, because if they would love me, they would know. And very, very often, people have never disclosed how they are feeling about things and what they want and what they really need, what their deep desires are, what their pains are, what triggers them and what helps them once they get triggered to get out of it again. They have never spoken about these things because this system, again, it's telling us the fairy tales. It says, the way it was in my family, this is how it is. And even if I say, my family was a stressful setting, or maybe even toxic, and even if I had relationships before that didn't go well, there is an absolute in our system that just demands likeness. It just wants the same, because your brain feels safe with the sameness. So to become aware of what we're actually seeking and what the need is behind that, and then speak the honest truth, is a very important first step. And it's not an easy one. Because most of us have learned to be cautious with our needs and our emotions. Many of us have been shamed about how we feel, and many of us, how can I say, we're disrespected in our wants, and we're kind of trained out of them. So some wants and needs were okay, and a lot of others were not. And this runs in the background. So we are expecting our partner or our friend, our colleague, other people, we kind of expect them to have the same preferences. And we kind of step in the same role as we had earlier in life, because this is where our nervous system can float and run and flow easily. When we want to change, we have to embrace discomfort. And change does not mean twist and turn everything around. Change simply means, if I want both of us to be more happy and both of us feel connected and safe at the same time, I need to change my settings here in my own connective mode. Because to be able to be authentic and to speak my needs and to communicate my emotions, I first of all have to feel them. It sounds easy, but a lot of people don't do that. I mean, it's like, why would I have emotions? No, thank you. I mean, it's painful. It's burning. Don't, they control me. And then we have a problem. Because if I am not able to feel my emotions, there's a high likelihood that I'm also not tolerating my bodily sensations, that I'm disconnected from my body. So no emotions, no body, or too many emotions, still no body, but all over the place. And then we have a good problem, because what's the place that I can connect from? And many people think it's talking, so coming from the mind, but it's not. The connection actually comes. I mean, there is some research about that. I must actually look up where that is. But there is research that the nervous system cells around our heart are definitely participating in our connections to other people. So it's not just romantic or from the heart kind of thing, but it's definitely that our heart is sending signals up to the brain about what we're feeling and what needs to happen and how we want to connect and what's happening in the other person and what they are feeling and da, da, da. And so connecting to our own heart, emotions, body, feeling is really, really important. So in the couples therapy and of course at the seminars, what we are doing is we're raising awareness first. So first we need to know what we're talking about without blame. Okay, it's not these are the good ones and these are the bad ones, and like polarization. We don't polarize, but we want to create understanding so that we can create a field of safety in which all variations are allowed and welcome. Because it needs time to feel safe in things that never were safe, but we also need the body. And when it comes to the body, many people are avoiding it like the plague, because they don't know how to regulate. They don't know what to do with all that discomfort and the emotions and the activation that happens. I'm feeling restless, I'm feeling panicky. So what am I going to do now? So if you happen to be one of these people that, urgency, texts, need a response, have to run after, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a rising pressure of, okay, and it's getting more and more nervous and it's getting breathless. And then I'm deciding on all weird things, okay? I'm doing weird shit that I would never do because I feel the pressure and I don't know how to get out of this. And so we need nervous system regulation. Of course, we also need emotional processing, but it really starts with becoming aware. Okay, pressure rising. I've got a choice. Do I give in? Do I send another text, the 15th or the 23rd or 312th? Or do I actually look at what's happening in my body? And this needs practice and probably a bit of community or support, because we dysregulate so quickly. Co-regulation, however, with a secure person makes it so much easier. So it doesn't have to be a therapist. It can be a friend. It can be somebody who has nervous system awareness. It could be somebody I met at a seminar or something where we exchange numbers. When I'm dysregulating, I'm sending you this and you give me your 5 minutes time and help me calm down, help me to switch gears in my nervous system. We can actually do a tiny little exercise. Are you up for?
Yes, yes.
Because I was talking about the heart space so much and so on, and becoming aware and connecting and la la la. So because we are connected here, okay, we are sitting in this together, we can actually use this. But you can also start with yourself. So we're doing both, first with yourself and then together. So what we're going to do, and it's very easy, it's not complicated, it's just when you're driving, don't close your eyes. So stay alert if you're in a situation where it's not safe to sleep away. So you can choose to keep your eyes open. There's nothing wrong with it, but you can also close them. And then just take a hand and put a hand on your heart. That's all. It's very easy. Just put a hand on your heart or where you feel your heart. Haha, you were already sighing. See, and this is very normal. Most people sigh when they put the hand on the heart. Ah. And then notice what's happening in your body by simply putting your hand on your heart. Just notice. And you're even stroking yourself, which is really very nice. You get some soft feelings, right?
Yeah,
What
you want-
usually happens quite immediately is that my breathing slows down. This is where the sigh comes from, you know? When I'm connecting to the heart space, my nervous system switches gears. My breathing becomes deeper, calmer. I need to sigh potentially. But also I'm connecting to my body in a different way. And now with a connection to the body and specifically, especially the heart space, what can also happen is a feeling of softness. You know, it's almost like, oh, I'm coming into my nest here. I'm coming home. How did it feel for you, Michaela?
I felt home, as you said, being connected, feeling warmth. It actually all day I was doing this because I had very intense mornings. So it was like, okay, let's do more. I need more. I think there is no level of having enough of this. Like it's so important to be with myself and touch myself and compassionate with myself. So it was very nice.
Yes. And there is a way how you can also do that with other people. I mean, it's a tiny little bit cheesy, so maybe not with somebody that you've just met at the bakery, but if it's a friend, you can actually ask them for co-regulation, okay? And a simple version when you are not in close proximity, so when you are not in the same room with each other, you can simply do it by connecting to yourself first. So you put your hand on your heart. And when you feel connected to yourself, you gently open the eyes and look at the other person. Now we are on the screen, but it works just fine because you can see my eyes.
Mhm.
And then you just allow this connection to flow. So you are connected to yourself, to your own heart, but you're also visually connecting to me. And I'm also connected to my heart. Now notice what is happening. It's sweet, isn't it? It's warm, it's sweet, it's safe, or whatever. Use your words. How did it feel for you?
I almost wanted to cry because I'm super sensitive, and when I really get in touch with someone I really like, or when I'm connected, then it's just so nice to feel
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah, and everything comes down, you know,
Yeah.
all the comes down here, and then there's connection and there's safety. And yes, if there was emotional pressure and you said you had a tough day, when there is emotional pressure and we allow co-regulation, so we allow somebody else to regulate our system with us or even for us, then your emotions have a safe place to go. And now you are trained, you know what to do with your emotions. But, you know, even with people who have no clue, it is safe to tear up. It's safe to feel what you're feeling. And very often, bloop, there's a little tear and then, and a sigh. And it's no big drama. So it's really, really simple. And of course, these are exercises that we can do with our partners where we just shut up. Because then we take the brain out of the way, okay? And connect to ourselves first, and then to connect to our partners. And I mean, if it's an intimate partner, if it's your relationship partner, what's also very, very nice is once you are connected to yourself and you're connected visually, you can actually put your hand on their heart. But this is now only for intimate partners, because you don't just run around and put your hand on somebody's chest. Well, maybe you do, but this is more the recommendation for people who want to co-regulate in their partnership. But it works very well with children. Also, the hand on the back if you're the regulating parent. So if you're in a parent-child relationship and you want to help your children regulate instinctively, I mean, everybody does that. You put the hand on their back or on the shoulder. You touch them and you help their nervous system to calm down with yours, with your adult regulated system.
Yeah, I love it that it's so powerful yet so simple. I have my own experience that when I was disconnected with someone from my really close friends and we couldn't find a way how to really get in touch again, then we just sat, we light the candle, and then we just did this exercise, and
Yeah.
just so simple. We just don't think about it, but it's just enough to come through the hearts, and then all the layers, all the borders just melt, and then we can see each other from the depth. It's just so powerful.
It is. I mean, many things when it comes to our humanness, to our biology, are very simple. We've just forgotten them in this whole hoo-ha of our brain. Our mind is telling us long, long stories and 15,000 relationship books, and we forget the basic. Do I feel safe with you? And this is something that people don't ask themselves, even in relationship. I have a lot of couples, when I ask them, do you feel safe with your partner? It's like, pause. Yeah, maybe in this aspect, but not in that one. Maybe sexually, yes, but emotionally, no. Or emotionally, yes, and sexually not. Or maybe I feel safe in this area, but not in another. And safety is so important. Otherwise, we don't allow connection. And when I say intimacy, I don't mean sexual intimacy necessarily. I mean this naked heartness. I mean this connection, belly and chest, like let our bodies talk to each other. And very often what we say here confuses us mutually. So we think we're talking about something, but in fact, it is about something else. So to get clear of what the feeling is and what the want is for some people really, really difficult, because they have learned, depending on their attachment system, they have learned to make a change in the other person. So they are not saying, I want this, I need this, I want physical contact or this and that, but they kind of like argue in circles what the other person must hear so that they can then provide. It's not a straightforward sharing, but it's more like a discussion that often is not about the issue at all. Sorry, but we've spoken again so long, but we had some questions, right?
Yeah. Well, we go with the flow. It's nice. Yeah, there is one question which I want to connect to what we've been talking about. What I see in this society now, that we are distracted so much with all the social media, AI, and all these things. So the question is, what do you think are the biggest challenges in relationships today, especially with all the distractions? How can we effectively deal with them?
Well, first of all, we have to become aware of that. And then we have to decide to make distraction-free room for each other. That could be the old, beautiful no phones at the dinner table thing. It can also be no phones after 6 or whatever. So we can give ourselves healthy boundaries. I'm not talking about strictness that you have a rule and you stick to it, but I'm talking about becoming aware of when are the times, or most often, when are the times that we want to be with each other, and how can we actually focus on each other in that time and get the distractions out of the way. And some couples have rituals. Rituals are always very nice. I like rituals. But some couples have this, when we're both finished with work, we go once around the block, 10, 15 minutes, just walking, holding hands, walking. This is very, very clever because with holding hands, you connect. And when you're just walking, okay, you synchronize your movement because you've got that rhythmicality in sync with another person. You're actually swinging on the same wavelength. So whatever you did before and however your work was, or your day or whatever, you swing into each other's thing. Yeah, you can talk while you do that, but you don't have to. But little rituals like sitting down, having a cup of tea together, or usually we have a rhythm, we know this is the time I come home from work, and this is when we're eating, and this is when we're doing. And if we don't have enough time, or when it feels like, careful, when it feels like we do not have enough time for each other, it is a matter of really sitting down and seeing, okay, where can we create this? And social media free zones are really a good thing.
Mhm.
I mean, I, for example, I like to play on Duolingo, my languages. I like to learn languages, but still, this little app is teasing. It always wants you to play longer and do another lesson and da 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 da. So I have to set myself boundaries and say, okay, I'm doing 10 minutes or 15, but that's it then. And we inform each other. My husband and I, we both do Duolingo. So we might sit and do, Italian against Czech or something like that. But we also ask and check in with each other. Are you done soon? And then we really openly communicate. Yeah, 5 minutes or 1 minute. And the same with other things. When they are important, we need to communicate them, because this tendency that we expect other people to read our minds, to be really able to know what we want without us saying it openly, is pervasive. Many people don't know that they never said what they want. They might grump about, you're always reading the newspaper and you're always watching this and doing that, and you always, but they don't say, I miss you, I love you, the relationship is important for me, and I would love to have more time together. Can we? And then your request. Can we have a Sunday morning walk together? Can we go to the gym together? Can we, whatever the request is, just cuddle up and, spoon for 20 minutes, something, A simple request works very well, but not speaking creates a lot of problems. And many partners, unfortunately, have lost each other's, how can I say, it's almost like when you find a partner, it feels like they are 180 degrees and you're 180 degrees, and it's so much better together and it's so much more bigger. But then they get triggered here and they don't like to talk about that topic. And this is an avoidance. And this one always gets us into conflict. And so one by one, we kind of shut down. So what used to be a whole world then becomes smaller and smaller until we ourselves, we lock us into a small piece of cake, and we never speak about that.
Mm.
And sometimes we have to challenge ourselves and the partner, saying, okay, I have noticed we never speak about finances, sex, holidays, children, religion, politics, whatever, Can we just clarify why? Or can we just start to make it safe to talk about this? Because the reason we don't talk about this is not, well, if it's not interesting for both of, fine. But most times it's because it's not safe. When we start to raise the issue of, we kind of like feel, oh, now pain will come back, or they will threaten me, or they will get angry with me, or we will lose the connection. And if I do this, and then I do something wrong, and then me. So make no mistakes, no matter what the attachment system is, we all have an inbuilt big fear to be abandoned and to lose connection. We might throw the relationship away and storm out of the room, no worries, but it still feels horrible. So to lose a relationship, the amount of pain is similar to breaking a leg. It's really, really, really painful. And if we can avoid this on autopilot, we will do what we think we need to do to keep the relationship stable, even if it's not satisfying anymore.
Yes. Yes, yes. I will connect another question with this one. So what's then importance of relationships and connection? Because there was one lady that asked that she prefers to be alone. And she said, I find it difficult to make connections. Does that mean something is wrong with me? You know, there can be cases like I would not rather have any relationship or connection because, but if we can look at it, why is connection and relationship important and how is it?
Well, I don't want to generalize too much because people have the right and the ability to choose. And we have indeed individuals that are very content just with themselves. So, of course, we get nervous system variations. And for humanity, in the development of us amazing beings, it was important that we have people that can survive on their own easily, and that we have people that keep the tribe together, and that we have people that do this and that. So it was important that we have variations, differences in our nervous system. And some of us just prefer to be by ourselves. We get asexual people who are not interested in sexuality. We also get people that are interested in, having a connection with people, but no physical contact. So all of this is a variation of normal. Where I would be careful though, so the little caveat is, if it is based on pain or trauma, do I have to avoid other people? Then there is a likelihood possible that I got hurt in the past and that wound is still festering. But if I'm happy on my own and I can go to the bakery and, I can have contact with other people without dying, but then I prefer my own company, it's nothing wrong with it. And also there are people that prefer animals because animals work much simpler in the attachment system. And very often people who have been traumatized prefer the connection to animals, being with animals to being with humans. Because humans, when they are wounded, when they are not regulated, they are not safe, Humans can be awful creatures, especially when they feel threatened. And some of us have been so wounded so deeply that we prefer not to connect again. But by biology, the majority of us, the majority is made for connection because it's simpler. We are very tender. We are very fragile as humans, and we are not very strong. So if you would be out in the woods on your own, hard, But if you would be out in the woods with a couple of friends, it's much easier. And this is why we have this connection thing. So we are the likelihood that we live long and have offspring and have a good life is higher when we are getting along with other people and supporting each other. So this, what I mentioned in the beginning, the interdependence. So I'm not depending on you and you are not depending on me, but we are choosing to depend on each other in interdependence. So I help you a little bit, you help me a little bit. And it's not codependency where one person is completely intertwined with another one, but it's like I'm an entity, you're an entity, but we together, we are just better, And I don't need you, but hey, let's do it. And this is a very good feeling. So when you successfully establish mutually beneficial relationships, even at work, with colleagues or on the plane, it's just nicer. It feels good. It makes us feel good because when our brain is happy and our attachment system is quiet, surfing, then we get good feelings. And hey, if it's not your thing, wow. If it's trauma, I would say invest time and compassion and energy and maybe even money into healing, because the self-empowerment that comes when we can choose to get along with people is amazing. And the sign of a mature and regulated adult is also that they can be alone. So we are not made to be with others 24/7, but we are also made to find our times of solitude, and not loneliness, but solitude, just being by myself, doing my thing, being creative, having my ideas, working on my goals, following my passions.
It's so beautiful. I experienced one powerful moment when I was in Bali last year, that I realized how important it is to share happiness, or share just these little moments. You know, when you're happy with yourself, that's perfect. I think that's really like, wow, it's nice to get to that point. But when you share it with another people and you can be happy together, then it's like doubled and tripled, and it just feels so much better. So this is what I love so much about relationships, that you can share not only the hard times and get support, but at the same time share just explosion of love, and it's beautiful. Yes. So another question, a bit longer one, but it's connected. Where is the line between staying and growing in difficult relationships versus knowing when to leave? For example, if I had a tough family situation and relationships, but I found safety in my tribe of friends, how do I know if I'm running from my past to avoid it, or if it's truly time to face it? So, where is this line between toxic and healthy connections? And if it's possible to live a life avoiding toxic relationships, free from pain, and only staying in these safe ones?
This is a long question.
Yeah. You do not answer all of the parts, but you know, in general,
It's a good question, but it's multifaceted, because one side is how do I know? And the other one is, how do I know and where's the line? And then also, what was the last bit about toxic relationships? Okay, so toxic relationships usually have red flags waving that some part of our system ignores, okay? And there are a couple of psychological mechanisms that our brain uses to take things out of our awareness. You know, we are just denying it, or we're projecting it, suppressing it, reframing it, whatever. So there are endless possibilities of changing our perception so that we don't even notice that there's a red flag waving and this relationship is toxic. Now, the cure to this is always awareness. And I'm going on about awareness all the time because I cannot see it if I'm not looking that direction. But what usually helps is, again, connecting to the body. When I'm really putting my hand on my heart, I will know, does this nourish me or not? And then when there is a not, I can dive even deeper and put a hand on my belly and say, okay, do I have an issue here myself? So is there something that I have not spoken, expressed, asked for, raised as an issue? Is there a conflict I have avoided? Are there things that I have, how can I say, avoided to feel and to see? It doesn't have to be conscious, but I can raise my level of consciousness when I'm allowing myself to dive deeper. Thinking about it will get you into a big mess, because for every red flag, you will find a white one, okay? And actually, many people run after red flags, okay? Many people run after the same toxic relationships they had umpteen times before, simply because without awareness, your attachment system simply says, oh, nice, it's the same feeling like, and then boof, off you go. And the only cure really is to raise the level of awareness and notice which part of you is actually pulling. And is this in alignment with your truth? But to know whether this relationship is alignment with your truth and your values, you actually first have to know what they are. And this is where the interesting question comes. Of course, you can skip or quit this relationship and move into the next one. But if you don't process what made you look for this kind of person, what made you enter into the relationship and stay in it to this degree that you get hurt or depleted or running on empty, when you allow this to happen, a good question is, what in me was driving me to seek out this kind of feeling sensation, feeling in my body, feeling emotionally? And once you get there, when you can actually feel, hui, 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 what horse you're running after, then you have a choice. Then the line gets much clearer. But without your body, without your emotions, it's difficult. I would be tempted to say it's near impossible, because you argue with yourself. When you're not aware of your own truth and not connected to your heart and your belly, then in this disconnection, you're just, running the show as you always did, playing the game as you always did. But knowing the line is feeling the line. And toxic relationships feel bad. When your brain craves the feeling bad, excited, intense, okay, good to know. So when you know that your brain is craving dangerous relationships, dangerous people that are not good for you, getting you into the same situation again and again, there is a likelihood that you need to process this kind of trauma, because your brain is kind of like hyper-focused on this kind of pain, because for your brain, it's home. That's normal. This is what we do. And then when you train yourself out of this, when you're learning healthy attachment, it could happen that you have to first embrace the discomfort that comes with change. So the discomfort, the boredom, like, oh, this person is boring, because it's not giving you it's not giving you the intensity, it's not giving you the triggered response that your attachment system is craving for, but it just gives you the calm waves of secure. This is why very often the securely attached people, they would be the cure both for the distant and for the anxious one, but they don't seek them out necessarily because they are boring, because they don't know what to do with it when their partner asks, so what do you want for dinner? What do you want? What do we want? What must I want so that you get what you want? So what must I want to, like this? Well, why are you asking me this question? What do you want from me? Why are you asking me this question? It's funny when you look at the interactions between somebody who is securely attached and somebody who's not. It's really sweet, but it follows, no, of course not. We're not following patterns all the time, but you can spot a couple of these funny ping pong interactions. But the secure person will be able to read your nervous system. So somebody who's securely attached, they read you and they say, oh, you're distressed, you're upset, want to talk about that. And then you again say, no, because you're trained. I'm not feeling upset. I will never feel upset, because I feel upset, then the relationship is in danger, so we don't do this. Or I'm upset and I've got the right to be upset because you did something wrong. You asked me for dinner. Like this. Okay, this is now a stupid example, but it's like, this is how it works. And so to find a safe place in myself first, how does it actually feel when I feel safe, regulated, calm, at ease, at peace, when I feel good? What are the sensations? And where do I feel that? And then practice, practice with people. But this question with the toxic relationships is really important, because, hey man, we can be addicted to pain. Did I miss something of the question? It was a long question. So did I miss any angle?
No, just at the end was that if it's even possible to live a life, avoiding relationships free from pain and only staying in the safe ones.
So can we avoid toxic people? No, because they exist. I mean, we can choose not to be with them. We can choose to leave the room if we have a chance. But sometimes we cannot because we're sitting on a plane with somebody, or we happen to have a president who falls in the category. So sometimes you can't run away. But on the other hand, when you get the sensory input that this person or relationship is not safe for you, it's a toxic relationship, then you have a choice. You can do something about it. You will not spend your life without pain. Absolutely not. You're a human being, and other human beings are just as human, and we hurt each other all the time. So even if you're in a really loving and committed relationship with two people who are committed to working on their traumas and, working on their triggers and, establishing connection, you will have a bad day. Your partner will have a bad day. There will be stress, there will be life happening, and then you feel bad. And then you get angry and you get sad. It's normal, okay? We have to embrace emotionality. We have to embrace conflict. And we have to embrace discomfort and unpleasant things. This is what we have to embrace. But we don't have to stay in toxic relationships. We have a responsibility for that. So whatever happened to us when we were little, you can't change that anymore, but you have a responsibility of helping yourself, empowering yourself so that you can live to the best of your ability with all your resources and all your gifts, and not limit yourself all the time to whatever the blueprint was when you were little.
Okay, the last question, which actually is very good for this one, because if it happens that, yeah, we can choose, but if, as this lady says, if the father of my children is narcissistic, is it possible to have a healthy connection with someone who constantly blames me for everything and makes my life difficult? When it's like a father of your kids, then you can avoid it, but at the same time not. Like, what to do in this situation?
It is tough, and unfortunately it happens a lot. I mean, 10% of the population have some personality disorder, so the likelihood of having children with somebody who is different than the rest is high. Now, I don't recommend doing it on your own and trying to change your partner or make them a loving being, especially when you are with somebody who is really diagnosed narcissistic. You will not have success. It's impossible. So you're wasting energy. And it's very important that when we live in a family system where a person is different than the rest. I say different on purpose because many people behind their psychological disorders or personality disorders, they have trauma, and trauma changes the nervous system. So when somebody's nervous system is different than the rest of the tribe, it would be a great idea to allow the rest of the tribe to stay connected and to be aware of what they're looking at, what they're dealing with. Unfortunately, most times the opposite happens. So the tribe splits into somebody who supports the behavior and somebody who tries to change it, and the next one is suffering from it, and the other one tries to apologize for it or make up for it. So we have, when there's one person with a severe disorder, we usually have a complete system that is a mess. So there is a much better chance, much better chance to look at the rest of the system and try to stabilize whatever family members are around and to stay connected with them and live authentically with them than trying to support or change or have a relationship with whoever doesn't want it. Because let's be clear, we are all at choice, and somebody can choose not to be connected with me. Somebody can absolutely choose not to like me. This is completely out of my control. What other people think about me and how they behave towards me is nothing that I can control. I can only be responsible for what I'm feeling and how I am behaving. That I can choose this. I can control to a certain degree. I don't like the word control, but I can choose. And more often than not, it's a waste of energy. Unless the person is really, how can I say, committed to having a supportive and mutually beneficial relationship, but this needs to be established first. And then the commitment and the rule giving, like what's okay, what's not, where's the boundary, what are we doing, what are we not doing. This is really, wow, this is like masterclass business. So get help. My recommendation is get help. For almost every family situation or psychological disorder or personality disorder, there is support groups out there for the families and for the people afflicted with it. So connect to the support groups. Connect again, but not necessarily to the source of pain. And we have seen people change. So if people with a narcissistic disorder or something else decide they want to have a family and live in peace and love with them, they can. They just have to do some work.
Yes. So what is the word? That's my final question. That there are some upcoming seminars.
Yes.
The next one is in Prague from 21st of March. So I would like you to explain to people what can they expect if they join your Connect Deeper seminar, and why did you choose to lead the seminars in this specific topic right now after those years?
Well, what my observation was, I'm leading the entry level seminars about emotion and trauma release and inner child work. And what my observation was, people were bringing more and more family members because it worked for them, and then they want their loved ones in it. So the amount of people related with each other in some way or form, partners, family, was rising higher and higher. And there is a need for support in communication and clarity and in the whole system. Now, what we do at the entry-level seminars is gauge towards a certain topic, like the inner child or the trauma or the stress release or wellness or feeling good or something. But what I wanted to offer was, let's really come together and create a safe space in which we can raise awareness and start to understand each other and start to learn new communication, learn how to regulate ourselves, learn how to co-regulate with each other, how to communicate when we get there, and how we can actually heal if our attachment system is not feeling secure. So if it's anxious or distant or disorganized. So how can we support ourselves? And this is why I sneakily called it Connect Deeper, because it starts with yourself connecting deeper. Not only here, but deeper to your pain and to your resources and to find your own empowerment. Now, I have to add that this seminar that you were mentioning from the 21st to the 23rd, it's 2.5 days, but it's only for advanced people. So you must have had the experience of either emotion trauma release or the inner child or the feel good or the stress release or something to be eligible to do this work, because it's advanced. You know, I'm not explaining everything from the base again, but we're concentrating on the attachment system and the different styles. And the basic nervous system I explain, but at the entry level. But here's the treat. So if you are a beginner and you still want to have the benefit of touching, you know, putting a finger in or tasting it, there is a 1-day workshop on the 25th. So it's the Tuesday afterwards. And this is also about relationships, successful relationships, because there you get a taster for the whole package, you know, the nervous system, connecting to the body, connecting to myself, and getting to know a bit more. Of course, it's different kind of work because it's an entry level, but this is on offer. And because it's only 1 day, it's also affordable. So you don't have to spend a whole weekend and you don't have to be in that intense energy, but you can have a gentle, soft, how can I say, trial version of how to work with the body and how to be authentic with your emotions and how to communicate clearly.
So we are talking about March, Prague, and then April, Slovakia. There is a women's conference in Bratislava on 5th of April, where you will have
Yes, I will talk at that conference, and it's gauged towards women. So how can we women connect on a better? But it's a similar topic, but just a different audience. And then I will also have a shorter workshop, just 4 hours. So is it Sunday? Yes, on the Sunday there will be a shorter workshop in Bratislava. So Prague, Bratislava, I mean, you're not far away from each other, are you?
No? So anyone who would like to join, there are a few options ready. Wow. Would you like to add anything at the end, Dante?
I'm very happy, thank you, listeners, because this is a really important topic. Because what we see in the world at the moment, it's not just about us. It's not about me, and my individual thing, but it's really about human beings connecting and remembering that we can, when we choose, live in peace with each other, and we can actually create peace, not by pressure and violence, but by really being humans. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention that, but I was in Israel just now doing a stress and trauma release, and I was very, very touched. I went to that place that they call the Kidnapped Square, where on a big screen they honor the lives of the people who have died in captivity or who are being given back as hostages, or where the hostages are exchanged. And they also have a big screen counting the days. And, to see the number ticking, it's like, ooh. But what I was touched by was the way they were celebrating the life of the people, not the death. They were not using the death to create fear and partition and to split people and to polarize. They were not using it for anger, for hatred, and to push up and out and create more war. But they were actually holding hand in the grief. They were singing together, they were crying together, but they were celebrating. So the pictures were not atrocious, but the pictures were happy families, children laughing and playing. So they were honoring the life and the living. And I think this is the way to go. Not to concentrate on the pain and on the death and create fear and hatred and disconnection, but to allow the life to be celebrated and to find each other in connection. It's not that difficult.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you
for
very
joining.
much. Thank you for listening, and I see you probably in a month's time.
Yes, we'll get you know soon what will be the next one. Or if you would like to have some specific topic, you can let us know, and then we can
Great
choose.
idea. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.